It is an honor to get associated with such a special program. I will start with the Dheya Shloka of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal. The theme Shloka from Vishnu Purana, which explains the theme of why we need to work in the field of education from an original perspective of Bharatiya way of life. Tatkarmayanna bandhaya savidyaya vimuktaye ayasaya param karma vidyanya shilpa naipunam. So the seer, the Rishi of Vishnu Purana is explaining that Vidya is one which liberates. Sa vidya ya vimuktaye. Vidya is one which liberates, but he does not stop there. He says, any other sort of learning, anything that you learn which does not liberate you, he has used the word in a very derogatory way, that it is only Shilpa Naipunam. Shilpa Naipunam is what we call today skill. So he has used it. If the learning does not liberate you, it is only a skill which can be adopted by anybody by due practice. If anyone without an iota of intelligence practices something, he will get the skill. You don't need something to acquire the skill. Acquiring the skill is the easiest way of just repeating, making it a habit. If you repeat it several times enough, then it becomes part of your subconscious mind and it works without putting any real effort into it. And when it becomes effortless, you are skillful. While we started learning how to cycle, use the bicycle, it was a tedious job to remember where the brakes are, where the pedals are, and at the same time concentrating on the traffic. So it was a lot of multitasking for the child who started learning the bicycle, to ride the bicycle. But slowly we got habituated to it and it became part of our subconscious reflex action. And today when we drive any vehicle for that matter, four-wheeler or two-wheeler, we are least bothered about the small technical things like the accelerator, the gear, the clutch or the brake or something like that. You can think while you are driving because the conscious mind can engage in anything else because it has become part of your habit. That is skill. So the Vishnu Purana Rishi is saying that this is not learning, this is not Vidya. This is only acquiring skill. What is Vidya? Vidya is one which liberates, one which frees you from the bondage. So bondages and freeing oneself from the bondages is the most important aspect of any education system. And that's what we have lost in fact today. And that's why this whole work of 5 decades of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal is aimed at this liberating the Vidya, which in turn will liberate everybody who gets it. The Vidya itself is today bound in so many regulations and so many governmental things that it is not able to liberate. And that's why all these efforts are being put by Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal. But the first part of Shloka is very important, and it is very important for the this course that we have completed here and the convocation of which we are attending today. For that also it is very important. This learning process, this indigenous way of looking at most customized learning experience. In fact, at the individual level, not creating any kind of classes. Treating each one as a unique personality and allowing that unique personality to blossom from within. That is real education. In fact, the word education in English itself etymologically means that. If you go to the root of the word itself, the science of root of the word etymology, If you look at the etymology of education, it means to bring out, to unravel, to discover. Very beautifully in Upanishad, the word is used as apavrinu, to take down the cover. One which is covered, just throw down the cover and apavrinu, open it up to all of us. That's what the Rishi is praying to Surya, Pushan, the one who nourishes everybody, nourishes everything that is there, nourishes the existence. Pushan, that is the one of the names of sun. Hiranmayena patrena, this golden vessel, Hiranmayena patrena, Satyasya apihitam mukham, has covered the face of truth. This beautiful golden vessel has covered the face of truth. Tat tvam apavrinu. Please uncover that for us. Pushan, we are praying to the nourisher that uncover the cover on this Satyasya mukham, this face of the truth, the gateway of truth, because I want to get the truth, I want to know the truth, I want to be the truth, the ultimate truth. And the impediment is the veil of Maya, the veil of ignorance. That is sa vidyaya vimukte. That liberation is from this bondage of veil of Maya. Tattvam pushan apavrinu. That apavrinu word is the real translation of education. Education it etymologically means apavrinu. Hence, this first part of the Dheya Shloka of Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, which says Tat Karma Yan Na Bandhaya. Like Savidyaya Vimukte, education is that which liberates, Vidya is that which liberates. It also defines karma. The same shloka is defining karma also. Tat karma, that is action. English is a very poor language, and most of the times Sanskrit cannot be translated in English. But beauty of English is it is not shy of borrowing words from other languages. So we can use Sanskrit words as it is in English. So karma is that is karma, tat karma, yat, which, na bandhaya, which does not bind. Now this is exactly opposite of whatever today's science has told you. It is exactly opposite Viloma of Newton's third law of motion. It defies the basic theory of science, which is cause and effect analysis. The first part of this Dheya Shloka from Vishnu Purana says, karma is one which does not bind. Means an action without an effect. An action without a cause. Causeless, effectless action. Newton says not possible. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. Third law of motion. But that is the way karma is to be done. The whole Bhagavad Gita is about that. Yuddhasva vigata jvara. The paradox. Get into the battle, fight the battle. Yuddhasva, fight the battle. Vigata jvara, without any hyperactivity of your mind, without adrenaline surge. Fight without adrenaline. That is what Krishna is saying. This is a paradox. So action without bondage. Every action will create an effect. Every action is a result of a cause, and it is a cause for the next action. So chain of actions is our life. And here the Rishi is saying, but chain, when you are got bound by that chain of actions, you are not acting, you are reacting. You are only giving vent to the effect of the earlier cause with your ego attached to it. And with that attachment, you are creating a cause for next action. So that chain of action will bind you into life, what you call life. And the goal of life is to get away from the bondage. Mukti. Again, no translation. I use the word liberation, but liberation is nothing compared to mukti. Muchyate. Mukti is muchyate. Untie the knot. This knot which is called as granthi. What in psychology we have so many, all kinds of phobia and all that. These are nothing but the mental knots which are to be untied. In Sanskrit we call it granthi. So granthi is the knot. The knot has to be untied. That is vimuchyate. That is mukti. That is unbinding yourself. And this has to be done while doing action, not by inaction. Ma karma phala bhutosmi. Mate sangostu akarmani. That is what Krishna says. Don't get attached to akarma. Not doing action is not the option. Your option is to do the action with a dexterity, with such dexterity that you will not get tied up in the chain of reactions. That is defined as kushalam in Bhagavad Gita. That is the definition of kushalam in Bhagavad Gita. Yoga karmasu kaushalam is not a definition of yoga. It is definition of kaushala. Karmasu yogam. When the karma is done with buddhi yoga, that is the first part of that shloka. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ubhe sukruta dushkrite tasmat yogaya yujjasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. When your mind is one with the action, buddhi yoga, when you are one, completely aligned, the body, mind, intellect, BMI is completely aligned. One, that is yujjate, that is yoga. So when you are like that, the buddhi yukta, when you are targeted, when you are focused, when you are really concentrated, buddhi yukto, that is buddhi yoga is in practice. That's why you have become buddhi yukta. You are now qualified with that kind of an intellect which gives you the right to do the real action, which does not bind. Tat karma yanna bandhai. You can do that if you have buddhi yukta. Buddhi yukta means body, mind, intellect are truly aligned. If that happens, jahatiha ubhe sukrita dushkrite. When that happens, both sukruta and dushkrita, both the karma, the good and the bad, jahatiha are burnt down. They are destroyed completely, and hence do the yoga. Tasmat yogaya yujjasva. Hence, tasmat, hence do the yoga, because that is the only way by which you can get out of this encircling, engulfing chain of karma after karma after karma. Sukrita and Dushkrita both creating bondages. Swami Vivekananda uses a beautiful simile. Says it does not mind whether the chain that binds you is made of gold or of iron, because it is going to bind you. So Sukrita or your good karmas are the golden chains which will create punya, and that punya has again to be enjoyed. Bhunjate, bhogna padega. And if you are doing dushkruta, malefied intentions, if the intentions are malefied, your action will create a result which again you will have to endure. Either enjoy or endure. Both are bondages. So tatkarma yanna bandhaya is the goal of life. Being completely busy 24 hours a day without getting bound to that karma. That's what Bhagavan Shri Krishna said, yoga karmasu kaushalam. When you do karma with such a yoga, such beautiful alignment of all your faculties, Pancha Karmendriya, Pancha Jnanendriya, all the Dashendriyas are in tune and aligned in one series, focused completely on the ultimate goal to achieve that through that action. If that kind of a targeted, focused karma you are capable of, then it will not bind you, because you will be so much involved and engulfed and be one with the process that you will not think even subconsciously about the result while doing the karma. That is ma phaleshu kadachana. Karmani eva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana is the most misinterpreted shloka of Bhagavad Gita. It does not say don't think about phala. Does not say. It does not give any instruction. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has given very few instructions. Only one instruction he repeats 27 times. Yuddhasva, yuddhasva, tasmat pamuttishta yuddhaya kritanishya. Fight, fight, fight. That is only one upadesha Bhagavan Shri Krishna has given. All other are explanations of the science. And Krishna has allowed Arjuna to take his own decision. Vimrushedat asheshena yathechasi tatha kuru. The 63rd shloka of 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is the essence of learning. Essence of what a real guru should be. Not imposing anything on the learner. He is only giving one condition, only one precondition. Vimrushedat asheshena. Deliberate, discuss, think about it, contemplate, asheshena, without keeping anything. Don't anything remain. Don't let anything remain. Asheshena, nothing shesha, nothing remains back. Completely, entirely, totally doing the deliberations, contemplation within and without with your guru and all that. Vimrishedat asheshena. After you do that, yathechasi tatha kuru. Do as you like. So here in Karmanye Vadikaraste also, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is not saying do karma and don't think about phala. No, he is not saying that. He is only simply stating a fact of life. That you have got adhikara, and the word adhikara does not translate into right. In fact, if a very near translation in English, if you want of the Sanskrit word adhikara, it is qualification. You have the qualification to learn Vedas. Veda adhikaraha, Vedadhyayana adhikaraha. Adhikara means you have earned the prerequisite qualities to do something. That is adhikara. So karmani eva adhikaraha te. Eva, only. Only karma is in you are qualified to do only karma. Ma phaleshu kadachana. You don't have the adhikara, you don't have the qualities of acquiring phala. In fact, you are not born for the phala, you are born for the karma. That is tat karma yanna bandhaya. When we are born, we are all pashu. Pashu is one who is bound by the pasha. Pasha is the bondage. And pashu is one who is bound. And vimuktaye is the goal, because we are human. You cannot be bound. You are not born to be pashu. You are born to be human. You are not animals. No. Not at all. That's not your composition. That's not what you are. And hence, even if you throw it away, even if you postpone all these things, one day, in one incarnation, in one life cycle, you will have to liberate yourself from all your bondages. Why not do it now when we have to do it sometime? To give that capacity, to give that enabling, give that empowerment, give that strength to every human being is the purpose of Vidya, is the purpose of education. That each one should be enabled, each one should be empowered, each one should be completely given that liberty of doing action without getting bound. That kind of a learning is called as Vidya. All the learnings, whether it is 64 kalas, art forms, or 16 vidyas, all the faculties of knowledge, different branches of knowledge, all the learning is aimed at this one thing, vimuktaye. And vimuktaye means being able to do karma without getting bound to the result. That is goal of human life. To make it very simple, what is the difference between a human and an animal? Why animal is the pashu? Because it has got limited options to act or react. Even to react, it has got a limited action. My favorite example is of a dog. If you throw a pebble at a dog, what will the dog do? What are the options the dog has? It has got only 3 options. Either it will bark, or bite, or run away. Any intelligent educator present in the webinar, if we can add the 4th option, we can create a multiple choice question. But there is no 4th option for dogs. You will have to specially train the dog for the 4th option. Naturally, only 3 options come to the dog because he is pashu, he is programmed, he is bound by the programming with which the dog is born. It will either bite or bark or run away. No 4th option. What will you do if somebody throws a pebble at you? किसी ने पत्थर मारा तो आप क्या करोगे? You cannot tell. You simply cannot tell today. You simply cannot factually, definitively, affirmatively assert that this one will be my reaction. You know all your swadharma now. You know your prakriti. You know your Pancha Mahabhuta Visheshata. All that you know. Even after that, you cannot definitely tell what will be your reaction. You'll ask me 4 questions, sub-questions. Who is throwing the pebble? Why he or she is throwing the pebble? The gender makes a difference. Gender of the thrower will make the difference to the reaction. The reason, the why, the purpose, the intention of the thrower will make the difference. And most importantly, what was my mood when I got that pebble? What was I thinking at that time? Was I very benevolent at that time? Was I agitated? Was I depressed? Was I whatever, anxious? Was I busy? Was I lazy? So thousands of options, not thousands, infinite options. That makes us human. That's why human being is called as karma yoni and pashu are called as bhoga yoni. They are born to bhoga, born to only do as per their programming. Complete the life cycle, go back, come back, do the karma once again. The karma creates a bondage, it creates a phala, the phala creates another cause for another karma, the chain goes on. If even after being human being, you keep yourself in a finite circle of options, you are a pashu. And the goal of Vidya is to make you understand that you have got infinite potential. An infinite potential of imagination, creativity, action. All these things. Kalpana swatantrya, karma swatantrya, rachana swatantrya. That makes us human. That's what Swami Vivekananda meant when he said man-making education. Man-making education, man with capital M, is the one who knows the infinite potential and who is again equipped, empowered, enabled to use that infinite potential with those infinite options in a right way, not to get bound either by golden chain or the iron chain, Sukruta or Dushkruta. That is the whole concept of education in Bharat. And that's why the aim of education is to understand Swabhava. Aim of educator is to make the student understand, not to teach. You cannot teach. Teaching is impossible. Teaching is a myth that the modern world has created. Nobody can teach anybody anything. We can only learn. If somebody doesn't want to learn, you cannot teach. How good you teacher you are does not matter. It matters on the learner. Only learning is possible. So in Sanskrit, there is no word for teacher. The word is adhyayanam. And adhyayanam comes from adhikaranam. In Taittiriya Upanishad, the Rishi talks about panchadhikaranam. There are 5 adhikarana, 5 levels of consciousness. Very beautiful. I will not go into those details, though I am tempted to. So adhikaranam is the one of those adhikaranams on the basis of Ayurveda Sanhitas. You have one of the adhikaranam, that is only the physical adhikaranam. There are 5 such levels of consciousness to understand Swabhava, one of which you have understood in this unique program that you all attended, that you all have been fortunate enough to be part of. Because unless your whole paradigm of thinking changes, you won't understand this basic principle of Bharatiya way of looking at education. So the Panchadhikaranam, which in another way the Jatak Kathas explain in the Bauddha literature, they call about Adhishila, Adhichitta, Adhipradnya, Adhipratibha, Adhividnya. These 5 levels of learning they talk about. Adhishila is preparatory stage. What NEP has in fact inadvertently, unknowingly reached to those 5 stages. I don't think those who drafted NEP knew about these 5 stages. I know for sure that they did not know, because I did not tell them. So, but even then, through their own trials and error, they reach to these 5 stages only. The first is the 5 years of foundational stage. It is Adhishila. Adhishila means to prepare the Panchendriya and Pancha Gyanendriya and Pancha Karmendriya along with the mind to acquire knowledge. That is Adhishila. And the next stage is purification of mind, Adhichitta, because without purification of mind, you cannot acquire knowledge. So Adhishila is preparing the Indriyas. The second stage is Adhichitta, where you purify the Chitta. Then comes the thinking, Adhipradnya, where you purify your faculty, your analytical faculty, your understanding, what we today call critical thinking or analytical thinking and things like that. Pradnya is much deeper than that. Pradnya is when it is so clear to you. When you compare things, it is so vivid and clear. That is Pradnya. Pradnya is such a clear vision of intellect where things are crystal clear before you. You don't get confused at any level. That is Pradnya. So Adhipradnya is the third stage. Preparing the Shila, preparing the Chitta, then preparing the Pradnya, and after that, blossoming of the uniqueness, Adhipratibha, the Pratibha, the talent. Pratibha means reflection. Pratibha literally means reflection. Reflection of, because of the dearth of words in English, I will use the word divinity. But that's not the infinite potential, what I talked about, the Brahman or the Rashtram. Even Rashtram is equal to Brahman. I will not get into that now again, though I am tempted to. So Brahman or the Atman or the Divya is reflected in each one of us in a unique way. That is Pratibha. Bha means to glow. Bha means to enlight. Pratibha means reflection of that light. So that divinity, that Ishwariya, that Aishwarya, that faculty of Ishvara is called Aishwarya. That Vibhuti, what Bhagavad Gita in the 10th chapter talks about Vibhuti, Vibhuti mat sarvam. Everything is full of that Visheshatvena Bhuti, that specially created, not created, specially being. All of us are specially, that is our Swabhava, which is unique. In the 7 billion odd population of the whole world, each one of us is unique. ऐसा नमूना दूसरा नहीं बनाया भगवान ने. One and only Mukul. So also one and only Shobhit and one and only Mala. No comparison, no identical. Even the identical twins are not identical. Otherwise, there won't be any Aadhaar card. Even your fingerprints are unique. Even your tissue is unique. Even the texture of your cell is unique. Even the metabolic and catabolic activities that go on in your body, the cycle, the biological cycle of your own body, the composition is unique. That is the balance of Tridosha, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which is unique to each one of us. Even the body is unique. So Adhipratibha is making oneself understand the uniqueness and let it blossom and glow out. That glowing is called as rat. The Sanskrit dhatu rat means to glow. When we collectively glow with pride, it is Rashtra. In the Mantra Pushpanjali, what we say, Ekaradati, that Ekaradati is glowing in oneness. That is the glory, that is the Atma Gaurava. That is the Rashtra Gaurava. The collective Atma Gaurava is Rashtra Gaurava. That's why it has to be part of education. Because to know my uniqueness, I should know my environment and the uniqueness of my collective consciousness, and thus knowing my Swabhava, I know my Swadharma, and then I am guided to do my Swakarma. That is the chain. Swabhava, Swadharma, Swakarma. That is education. And the role of the educator is to facilitate, guide, allow, clear the weeds, clear the impediments, clear the hurdles, and make the student learn himself. Adhyayanam is to know yourself and know that you are only reflected in the world. The world is nothing but your own reflection. That is Adhyayanam, that is education. And the educator has to do that. That is the work of educator. That is what we call Vimukti. And Malaji has done a marvelous work. In Bharatiya Shikshan Mandal, we have always been saying this, that we have to create our own models of doing this. We cannot follow Bloom's taxonomy and do that, because Bloom's does not know about all these. They don't know Swabhava, they don't know human. For them, human being is another animal, maybe a social political animal, and now an economical also. A market force, a buyer, a consumer. And preparing the consumer or the trader or the one who does the marketing or one who receives the marketing is the only purpose of modern education today. And that's why it was called as HR, Human Resource Development. We forced the National Education Policy to change the name of ministry back to education. Let it be Apavrunu, not to prepare only resource, when human being is a source, not resource. These applications that we are using to connect are resource. Internet is a resource. But my Kantha is the source. If this source goes wrong, any amount of amplification will not work. So human is the source, not resource. That source, human source, has to be understood. That is Swabhava. That is Swadharma. And one of the thousands and thousands and thousands of ways of understanding is understanding that Swabhava is what you have learned. The Prakriti Shastra of Ayurveda, the Padartha Vijnana of Ayurveda. There are thousands and thousands of other ways. The Swara Vidya says something else. The Prana Vidya says something else. There are thousands and thousands ways of looking at this whole universe. Pancha Mahabhuta is the only one of them, because Pancha Mahabhuta is the consolidated form of Tanmatras, and the Tanmatras are the creation of Indriyas, not the vice versa. Indriyas are not created to receive Tanmatras. Tanmatras are created because that Eka who became Bahu, Ekoham Bahusyam, wanted to play, and to play it had to create toys. So it created these 10 toys, and these 10 toys created something to work with. And this is how the Pancha Mahabhutas were created. And that's why Bhagavad Gita calls it Urdhva Moola Adha Shakham. This tree where the roots are up and the branches are down. Urdhva Moola Adha Shakham. That is what Rishi Aurobindo talks about, Avarohanam. He talks about the supramental consciousness gracing, the grace, Avarohanam. The mind's Arohanam and the graces, divinities, Avarohanam, when they meet, that is Mukti. The beautiful thesis that Rishi Aurobindo gave. Urdhva Moola Adha Shakham. So tanmatras were created for the indriyas. Indriyas were created for the knowledge, because knowledge was needed for action. So karmendriyas were created for the actions that can play the beautiful game of life. So I, the Brahman, can play this beautiful game of life for the divine entertainment, which we sometimes call bhakti or which we sometimes call ananda. And when one plays that, the Rishi of Samaveda, when he was aesthetic after scoring a goal in that divine game of Brahman, he did not know what to do. No came, no words came. So he just simply said, ha, hoo ha, hoo ha, hoo ha, or astitva. And in that, this Leela is happening. And for the Gyanendriya, Pancha Tanmatras were created. For Shravanendriya, Shabda Tanmatra. For the Chakshavendriya, Rupa Tanmatra. For Sparshendriya, the Sparsha Tanmatra. For the Rasanendriya, the Rasa Tanmatra. And for Ghanendriya, the Gandha Tanmatra. 5 Tanmatras were created. And those 5 Tanmatras, with the imagination of this mana and the play of Brahman, got consolidated and solidified. The Pada got its own Artha. The Pada, Gandha, got its own Artha. That Artha became Prithvi. So Padartha is the Artha of Pada. So the Rupa Tanmatra needed an Artha, so the Padartha Agni was created. The Shabda Tanmatra needed itself a field to express. And hence Akasha Padartha was created. Like that, the Pancha Tanmatra created Pancha Mahabhuta. And now in our education, we don't have all these concepts. We don't have the concept of Indriya also. We talk about cognitive knowledge. Where will cognition come if perception is not there? And perception needs Gyanendriya. And Gyanendriya needs Pancha Tanmatra. Pancha Tanmatra needs Pancha Mahabhuta. And to connect all this, we need prana. The prana will connect mind with body. All this beautiful garden of existence is created through the rasa of the essence of prana. That is prana vidya. That's why pranasedam vashet sarvam tridive yat pratishthitam. And that is one nourishes as mateva putran rakshasva. Like the mother takes care of the child, this prana takes care of all of us. So Swabhava has to be understood with Prana Vidya. Swabhava has to be understood with Pancha Mahabhuta. Swabhava can be understood with Pancha Karmendriya, Pancha Gyanendriya, in the coordination of both, or just concentrating on Chitta, that is yoga. That is what Patanjali did. Give up all avalambana, give up all the things to rely on, and you don't rely on anything, and you become really Atma Nirbhara, self-reliant, and you just concentrate on the mind. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi. When the mind itself becomes the object of minding, mind your mind. That is yoga. So these are the beautiful ways of knowing the Swabhava. These are the pedagogies. These are the taxonomies. Nyaya, what I explained just now is Nyaya Shastra. The 25 padarthas of Nyaya. Sankhya. And the Nyaya got into, they reduced it to 19. So like that, very beautiful way how the knowledge is to be understood and classified, and the way of looking at it, that is what the taxonomy, the word taxonomy means. Bloom's taxonomy is so pale in front of all these, but we rely today on Bloom's taxonomy for all our learning managements. We have to get out of that. We have a treasure trove. We Bharatiyas are born with this treasure trove in our chromosomes, in our DNA. It is our collective memory enshrined in the quantum of our being. In the cellular memory, it is enshrined, completely codified. The trillions and trillions of terabyte data of knowledge is stored in one cell, and not just the gray cell, even the cell of the skin. And that is being transmitted and transferred for ages together through the generations with the beautiful science of Adhijanana. Adhijanana, producing a better generation. That's why it is called as Praja. Prakarshena jayate iti praja. My offspring should be better than me. Putradichet parajayam, Shishyadichet parajayam. The next generation should be better than me. And Sister Nivedita writes in a beautiful book, Aggressive Hinduism. In the last paragraph, she said, all that Hindu craves for is to create a better generation. And then she explains, a better generation means my child, my offspring should be able to do more renunciation than what I did. That is what Bhagini Nivedita says. मुझसे अधिक त्याग कर सके ऐसी संतति का निर्माण विवाह का उद्देश्य है. प्रजा प्रकर्षेण जायते. So that is Adhijananam. Adhyayanam, Adhijananam, and the third is also important, Adhilavanam. Adhilavanam means to weed out what is not needed. Weeding out, Lavanam. So that is Adhyayanam, that is Vidya, that is education. You have started a journey in which you have to unlearn all the unnecessary things that are being put into your brain for at least 18 years till graduation. And many of you have not been fortunate like me to give up this formal learning after graduation. So you did your master's and then PhD and then postdoctoral, putting more trash into your brains, which is playing havoc and a great hurdle and impediment in the real learning. I congratulate you all for starting this journey of unlearning. And this convocation, let it kick-start this paradigm shift in the educators so that it will facilitate the change in the education. A long journey is ahead of us because our rishis have done mammoth work, marvelous. It is so marvelous. The more you learn about it and more you marvel at it. That is nothing but to just bow down, surrender, submit completely and pray to them. Give me the capacity and wisdom and open up. Apavrinu. Let my veil of ignorance fall off. Let my ego shrink so that I am able to understand a droplet of that ocean of knowledge that is there in our Upanishads and beautiful Bharatiya knowledge system. You have started that journey. Let's hope many of you continue that. Like in the Taittiriya Upanishads, Dikshanta Sambodhana in Shikshavalli, the Guru says, only accept that which we have sucharitani, which we have adopted sucharitani in the right way. No itarani. So have that discrimination, that viveka, to continue your own journey. Yathechasi tatha kuru. That is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, Yathechasi tatha kuru, do as you like. And at the end, Arjuna is saying, Karishye vachanam tava. Nashto moha smritir labdhva, Karishye vachanam tava. Krishna says, Yasechasi tatha kuru. And Arjuna says, my moha, my confusion is gone. My dilemma whether to go this way or that, to be or not to be, my dilemma is gone. Nashto moha means dilemma is gone. Smritir latva, now I remember what is the purpose of my life. And hence I will do what you say, what you ask. Karishe vachanam tava. Let us all be able to attain that stage of Arjuna at least, where we can say Nashto moha smritir ladva, and we'll do what Krishna has asked us to do, each one of us, a unique task with which that great Yogeshwara has sent all of us in this life. Let all of us be able to understand and do it in our life.
Dhanyavad Mukulji for that very deep address to all of us, it giving us a lot of things to think about, particularly as educators, when you have placed the responsibility on us that Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye,